This is a HeadGum podcast.
All right, everyone, we are back. We are here in what's going to be one of the final episodes of the Blacklorette podcast as we follow Rachel's journey to find love on ABC's The Bachelorette. This is Melanin Misadventures. I'm your host, Jacqueline, along with my co-host, Miss Joi.
I'm so happy we're almost done with this shit. It's so...
Look, I feel you on the, I want it to be over, but I also can't be mad in the fact that I've enjoyed pretty much every episode up until recently.
Yeah.
These last two have been a bit of a trial, and I hope that, the hometown dates are going to add that little bit of bonus.
Based on the preview of next week that we saw, I think so. I feel like I'm going to enjoy myself for next episode.
Yeah. I'm let's be honest. There's not been a lot of trash in my trash TV this season, which I think is a testament to Rachel, honestly. But that's not what we watch, or at least that's not what I watch. I watch for the trash, so bring on the trash. Anyway, so last week, let's go ahead and recap and break it down. We were down to the final 6 men. We have Adam and Matt, who I feel like every time you mention their name, you should put that Jaimin Hunsu gif from Guardians of who? Her? Really? So we have those two. We have Eric, the only brother left on the show. We have Peter, the entrepreneur. We have Brian, the first impression rose. And then we have little baby Dean, who's young, but I guess his mind is older. I don't know, because Rachel is was and seems to be still and seriously infatuated with him.
Listen, Dean, in the words of Beyonce, he may be young, but he's ready to give all his life.
Hamilton and Beyonce to describe the boy. So that we're down to these final 6, and this is the point in the show where I will not lie to you. In general, after hometown dates, as a constant Bachelor watcher, this is actually when I lose interest, because once we get past hometown dates and it's down to maybe the final 2 or 3, I can give a fuck. I just want to know who won, and I can get that on Twitter. So I'm definitely not as interested by the very end. I live for the first 6 or 7 weeks. So, but this week we kicked off with a one-on-one date, and it was a one-on-one date with Brian, right?
Yeah. Which shock, surprise, surprise.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Rachel has had her favorites since day one. And I would say, honestly, Peter, Brian, Dean have all been her favorites since day one.
Yes. But especially Brian. Because he was the first one that she kissed. Was he the first one to get the rose, too?
Yes, he did get the first impression rose.
Yes.
And I was on Team Brian. I'm not hating on him. He's at least earned a spot in my, I would not be mad if she ends up with you, but that's it.
You know how I feel about Brian. I'm so glad that the previews from next week is showing me that he may be read by a bunch of black women in one space. I'm looking forward to that. But, yeah. Because I don't trust
We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get that in a minute. But anyway, so he's on his one-on-one date. And this is the other thing with Brian. Brian and Peter, she always does these crazy romantic dates, really high-level romantic dates, very picturesque. Every single one of their dates, it seems like that has been that way. She is not, she's not even messing around with a group date with them a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like Brian and Peter may have had the most one-on-one dates.
No, that's. I feel like that's definitely. They do get the top tier, upper echelon type of dates. Dean always gets odd dates, they're meh dates. Eric just recently started getting solo dates.
Yeah.
So,
but he didn't even get one this episode. We'll get there. So anyway, on the Brian date, it was fine. I feel like him talking about, so they go and they do just a picnic. Like I said, there was no activity. Their date was just let's make out and hang out. They go to dinner and Brian kind of spills the tea on his ex, and I still don't really understand what it is about his mom that caused their breakup.
which we might see in the home episode. But like, I don't get it either. Like, I in my opinion, every time Brian is on these solo dates, I'm not seeing actual growth. Like, it's all very vapid to me.
Yes.
Like,
even the guys said that, like, back at the house. They're like, he's smooth and he's suave, but I don't really know if he's really genuine.
And I agree with that. Like, I think... Which here's the funny part. Shout out to Dr. Matt with his bootleg psychiatrist degree, who was like psychoanalyzing every man in the house while they were on their dates. Which tickled me.
Which is probably why he went home instead of worrying about other motherfuckers. You need to be concerned.
But
spoiler
it
alert.
Me. Yeah, it tickled, man. It tickled me. When I tell you, I thought it was hilarious. It was funny because every time he was saying that, I was like, "Well, you're not wrong, but you're probably gonna go home now." But I agree.
Yeah, like I think every man does it, but like I'm just like in this show, you really need to stay in your lane. Like, be concerned with you.
I agree with you. Here's how I feel. I do think that. I don't see much behind Brian's eyes, like, in terms of, like, character development. Like, I don't see where their connection outside of the physical is. I don't see an emotional connection with them, with him and Rachel.
And it seems to me that seems to be a pattern with him, because that's literally what he said was exactly what happened with his last girlfriend.
Yep.
They had a physical connection that did not equate to anything.
Right. And that's definitely a big of his problem. I mean, we're going to go through kind of like the issues that are probably going to prevent each of the men from getting the final rose. But like that, you can even talk about how that's kind of the opposite of Peter, where Peter has had an emotional connection with Rachel as well as a physical, but he he takes marriage very seriously, and he's like, listen, I'm not doing this just to do it for the show. Like, if I feel like we're ready for marriage, I'm going to propose. But if I don't feel like we're ready for marriage, I'm not proposing.
Yeah, and I give him that is like, you know, that's a good way to be, and I appreciate him being that honest, because some of these guys, you feel like it doesn't matter.
And to be honest, like, everything when he said it, I was like, that's logical, because y'all only been knowing each other for what, maybe 2 to 3 months? And she's been dating other men the whole time. Yeah. So you actually do need to spend time together as in a relationship outside of the show before you can say, hey, I think we're ready for at least a year. Like, you do need to do like, hey, is it the heat of the moment because the cameras are here? Is it the heat of the moment because we're doing all these romantic dates? Like, what if?
And again, the time frame, as I've told you. It's a short amount of time. It's like maybe a month to 6 weeks from like day one until people are fucking proposing.
Yeah. And that's where I'm always lost and confused, because I'm like, oh, also with these dates, these are literally once in a lifetime date opportunities. Like,
that's like a 3-year relationship date. Like, we motherfuckers are normally popping the question with that kind of date. They literally
spent half their episodes Europe hopping. They were going through multiple countries within Europe and like going on dates there. What if they come back and Peter only got like Chick-fil-A date money? Then what you gonna do? I'm being serious.
Love him anyway, I guess. Right. I mean, look, I could be in love with a guy that only takes me to Chick-fil-A. There has to be other compensations.
Here, and this is my thing, is like, if we are together for a minute, I love me some Chick-fil-A. We could definitely do a Chick-fil-A day. I have no qualms of doing that. Listen, I love me some. You gonna pay for my 8 count with waffle fries and a lemonade, no ice? We're good.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. But like, realistically, this is a very trumped up short period whirlwind romance. So if he's like, I'm not ready to propose at the end of this, I don't think that's the wrong thing to say.
Yeah. No, I think that's the only smart thing to say.
Yeah. Well, all right. So when we go into Peter and those are his qualms, then we go into Dean. Which, where do I begin? So
wait a minute though. Look. So this is what I will say. I feel like you and I are going to be at odds at this as the agnostic person. I know where Dean was, and I have to say that although I think he worded it poorly, I agree with pretty much everything he said. But go ahead, because I know you're a person of faith. So go ahead.
Not even that I'm a person of faith per se. Like, I genuinely do not care And I don't even remember what he said in terms of his faith. Like, I know Rachel was very big on...
It wasn't about his faith. It was more how he laughed off hers.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely don't remember that. And if he did, like, I don't think you should laugh people's faith off. But
Not laugh people's faith, but he was like, today was awkward for me, and it was weird, and, you know, like...
Fair enough, because she did take him to a church. Yeah. Yep. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. And so, like, and she was like, well, I'm just not going to let you laugh this off. And you could tell that she was kind of off put by how he could not, you know.
Oh, I read that completely different. I read it as he was being young and goofy and couldn't, like, really get into, like, a genuine conversation.
See, I think then I saw that preview for next week with his crazy eccentric dad who's probably into some real, and I took it as he looks at faith and anybody who believes in other, you know what I mean? Right. Like, believes in non-tangible things. Sure. Because it's the deal. If your dad goes off the deep end and starts doing these crazy things, you become grounded in reality. It's a way to keep yourself centered.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I agree. I definitely, not necessarily agree. I understand it. Like, how I watched that scene was more of, he was being 25, goofy, asking her what's her favorite dinosaur and stuff like that, and she was like, dude, we're like supposed to be having an emotional connection, and you're kind of like not really doing, like, you're not really
and I took that the totally different way, and maybe it's because, again, I would be better at what I did. I would be more like, hey, so this is important to you, can you tell me where this comes from?
Right.
And then segue into the, like, because it means jack shit to me. Like, and to the point where I am almost hostile towards it because I grew up so indoctrinated in it. And so, like, I know how to maybe present it in a different way. So that's where I feel like the maturity aspect is there. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely did not even remotely tie it to the religion.
But I as someone who's very hostile, not hostile, I shouldn't say that, as I'm not. As someone who's very apprehensive of faith and having faith dictate pretty much anything in my life, and that's my journey. Like, I have nothing against anyone else, but I have a very, like, look, y'all, you know what I mean? Like, that's the shit for me. Like, I've had too much things happen to where I can't just be like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is your thing and this is my thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, and that's, like, the thing. Like, I know people are like, hey, you should be open to dating people outside of your religion or dating people outside of your faith. Realistically, sometimes it just does not work out, and people do.
And even if it doesn't, I think, and this is what I will say is, I think it's okay to be leery about that. I do think it's okay to say to yourself, you know what? I don't know if it's okay. Because for a long time, I used to think that it wasn't okay to say that. I thought it was like, you know, a betrayal of, you know, my family and the way I grew up, for me to be like, I don't know if I necessarily want to get married to someone that's religious. I don't know if I...
Jack, we lost
in
you.
A relationship.
Yeah, no,
and
can you
I know
repeat
some people
that?
are like, you know...
Jack, can you repeat that again? I lost a good chunk of what you said. So start with, I could be leery about it.
So... what's the word I'm looking for? I feel a little leery about where I am with it, because for a long time, it'd be like, your religion, my religion, whatever. Now, I know it could be a deal breaker.
Yeah. And that's my thing. I don't think that that's necessarily the wrong way to approach it. Like, at the end of the day, that's your personal choice. Now, if Rachel feels more strongly of, I want to marry someone who does believe in the same faith that I believe in, or is at least a spiritual person, not necessarily religious, then that's her call. If Dean is on the other side saying, like, I'm not dating somebody who thinks that this is, like, a serious thing, or that doesn't have the same religious, that he has a right to be like, nah, I'm not going to do this. Like, I don't have a problem with either or, but I do think it goes along the lines of, don't, like, play each other on each other's religion, but, like, if y'all don't agree with it, just be like, all right, we're not going to date on this regard. And that's okay to be like, no, let's not do this.
And it's okay, I think, too, to be that way. I would just say Dean handled it poorly, and that's where his age shows.
Right.
But not because it's religion and not because he can't take things seriously. I think there's a little bit more to that. And I think when we meet his dad next week, because, like, just looking at the little tableau of, like, his dad and what his dad was wearing and, like, the little clips from their house, I was like, bruh.
Which, listen, and people don't like to admit it, but when you marry somebody, you, depending on how active their parents are or want to be active in, like, them being in-laws, and if you have children, them being grandparents, like, you do marry into those families too. So she's like, you know what, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
I can't necessarily blame her, because if that's where her head is at, and she's like, I don't want to be a part of this, she don't gotta be a part of that.
Yeah. I do think it definitely put Dean in the fourth place, though.
Yes, I agree too. And that's the thing too, when which surprised the fuck out of me, because when he said his dad was eccentric, I definitely thought it was a code word for his dad being racist, which he could still be. I definitely thought it was like, oh, so your dad is racist, okay, but hey, listen,
I'm very, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to that more than anything from next week. Like, where did you come from, Dean?
Absolutely, and that's my thing. It's like, which he still could be racist. He still could. I'm not ruling that out completely, but I got a little bit more color of his home life. Which, let me be honest, we'll talk a little bit more about it. The previews for next week, everybody looks crazy, but Eric.
Yes! Eric, I'm like, look, I'll take Poor and Busted over the shit that we're about to go
But you know what?
with.
And it's not even Poor and Busted. Like, that's a real life reality. And maybe it's because I'm black, because I'm sensitive, and I grew up in the South Bronx. Yo, Baltimore is a city that has had ups and downs. And within a news standpoint, like, with what happened with Freddie Gray, and like, it has been on our radar most often than typically, right? I just saw the film Step. And I'm going to be writing a review. Yes,
and that's in Baltimore too.
Yep, I'm going to be writing a review of Black Girl Nerds, so I'm not going to get into details, but to see these young women kind of go through, like, their day-to-day lives, with also dealing with the fact that they are lower class and they're trying to fight to do everything and try to get into a college of their choice that they want to, with a large amount of financial aid, if not a free ride. Like, that's some real shit. And it's not only Baltimore that deals with it. There is a lot of cities within the U.S. that is mostly black and people of color that have those similar situations. It doesn't mean that Baltimore is not rich in culture and personality, and just because it's a quote-unquote poor neighborhood doesn't mean that there are not good, genuine people there. So
no, I'm not saying that, but I'm
not just, and I know you're not saying that, but I'm just saying, I'm just making that as a PSA for everybody else. But instead,
it's more of an aesthetic. Like, look, you can go get wined and dined by these guys that maybe came from money or whatever, but they all seem to be a little crazy. So I think, you know what I mean?
Here's my thing. I'm curious about how she feels, because I'm starting to, like, research the guys on Instagram. I started doing this, like, 2 weeks ago, finally. I wonder how she feels about the top four. Out of the top four, 2 of them are personal trainers.
Yeah.
2 of them are personal trainers. Eric and Peter are personal trainers. So
yeah.
I don't like.
They're really actors, though. That's what that is,
right? Which I'm just like, I went on Eric's Instagram. He's really trying to be like a motivational speaker, and he's very big on faith too. So that's a plus. That is a plus. He's a very big faith guy based on his public speaking that he does, and he public speaks at churches too. Like, so that's definitely a plus in his favor for Rachel. So but like, Peter is dead a model. Like, he's dead as a model. Like, he definitely modeled before. But now he's doing football training.
He's like a business dude.
Yeah, but he used to model. He used to model suits.
Yeah, but now he's older though. He's about that hustle now, I would say.
Yeah, and now he's now doing, like, personal training, like, business, entrepreneurship.
Peter's not personal training at all. Peter is an entrepreneur. That's his title.
But on Instagram, he's definitely a personal trainer.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, go on he's a personal trainer. That's his entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay.
He pulled the okie doke, man. I'm telling you, like, if you go on his Instagram, you
okie doke.
I'm about to tell you right now. You about to.
I got it now. I'm on it. I'm seeing it. Yep. All right. I got it. I will check this out, because honestly, I try to avoid their Instagrams because I find that they're damn.
Oh, Peter's not tattooed. Well, he has a couple of tattoos. Okay.
Yeah, that was what I said damn about, because I love me some tattooed boys. Let's keep it real.
But anyway, his bio on Instagram, I'll say this, is founder of Worth Personal Training, For boot camps, private training, and partnerships, contact Joe at collectivebrandmanagement.com. And he's in Wisconsin, which I'm like, oh, I don't know if you want to move there, chick, but all right.
I think he can move. He'll be all right.
He can move his company. She can't move hers. Anyway,
yeah, he's a Green Bay Packer fan, so why can't I just marry Peter?
You and the rest of America. Listen, here's the thing about Peter. Yo, there is, don't matter what you look like, what ethnicity, girls go up for Peter, man, on social media. We do. I'm not in front of y'all.
He's a Green Bay Packer fan. I want to have his babies.
He is very attractive. He is good looking. He seems like a very intelligent guy. He seems like he actually cares. Mm-hmm. He's not gross on his kissing like Brian. So, like, these are weird.
Eric is kind of weak on the kissing too, let's be honest.
But Brian, nobody's really great on the kissing, let's be honest. Like, and maybe it's just like my perception of it because I'm watching people do it for long periods of time throughout every episode, which is just like when I'm now desensitized to it. But the first couple of episodes, I was like, yo, this is a lot, bruh. I don't really want to see any of this.
Yeah.
And now I'm desensitized. Like, I just watch it and be like, whatever. Could we go to the next scene? But Brian never fails. Like, they gotta turn his mic off when he kisses, because his mic, when I tell you his kissing is loud, it is loud and gross. My opinion. But, like, anyway. Now moving on to, so, obviously they had the 3 solo dates. We talked about Peter, we talked about Dean, we talked about Brian and their issues.
I mean, we really didn't talk about Peter. We just talked about Peter's Instagram, but that was kind of enough. Whatever. We all want to bang Peter. Yes. And Peter had a great date. That's pretty much
y'all know Peter got a rose. Like, we don't even have to waste the time. Peter got a rose. His biggest issue we did talk about Peter because his biggest issue during the date that put him on ice was that he was like, I'm not guaranteed to propose to you at the end of this if I get the final rose. So I'm just so like everybody got put on ice on all of these solo dates, but they got a rose anyway. Whatever. So we get on to the final group date, which is how they broke it up. There are 6 men in the house, 3 got solo dates. The last 3 were on a group date together. So now we're left with Eric and the Schmucks. And Schmucks being Matt and Adam, who nobody knows. Like, literally on our social media feed for the Blacklorette, everybody was like, I still don't know who these men are. And it's so sad. But it's true. I was like, I don't know who these dudes are. And the fact that they made it this far, I was very confused. Because like, they must have had one-on-one time, separate time from her, and they just didn't film it because it was that boring. But I felt correct in that assumption because they were boring that whole episode. So the first one who got the boot was Matt. And I was just like, yeah, you should.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like... Yeah. This section is going to be short, guys, because we got nothing to say about these men, because we have no opinions of them, because we don't know who they are.
This with Matt, honestly, you know what it was? You should have fucking taken me to that goddamn Instagram, because now I'm just looking at naked pictures of Peter. But listen! Like, you're trying to get me to talk about Matt after you done told me to look up naked pictures of Peter, and I'm like, bitch, please.
Let's be clear. I am a God-fearing woman. I did not tell you to look at naked pictures of Peter. I just said look at Peter's Instagram.
Well, now, he's not naked. He's Instagram naked, but he's
but
like,
I'm saying, but if he is shirtless, that is his fault, not mine. He has a shirt on for a decent amount of time. So that,
but all the shirts that he has on are Green Bay Packers shirts, and that might as well be like he's dipped in pheromones for me. I'm from like my family's from Wisconsin. Like we are straight crazy Packer fans.
Well, see, there you go. If it don't work out and he becomes a bachelor,
I already said if he becomes a bachelor, I might go on a diet and like get some 20-inch tracks and make this shit happen.
Oh my God, I'm so over you. Anyway. Then we get
you think I wouldn't? I would starve for that motherfucker. Because you know they don't put thick girls on that show. Let's be honest. Like, I would have to lose a good 25,
you come rolling up there being cute and plus size, and Peter's eyes gonna be mad wide, like, I don't know what to do. What's happening here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no.
Anyway, but no, the 3-1 date, Matt, Adam, and this is the thing which I find so sad but so funny. Adam and Matt, like, you can tell they knew. Like, it seems like they knew they were going home. Like, that's the other thing. Like, she is all about confidence, and I could just tell that both of them did not approach the date with confidence.
Like, as the dates were progressing, they started slowly deteriorating within themselves. They were just like, oh, this is not going to go. Because with Eric, I think Eric honestly got put into that group date because of circumstance and because they were only doing three in one group date.
Yeah, and you can tell he was real salty about that, but I was looking at him, I was like, dude, if you gotta go play one-on-one against the B team, that's it. Like, fucking don't
He
play.
literally didn't do that. He was just, listen, I care about you. I can see myself falling in love with you. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I never brought a woman home, but I'm ready to take that next step with you. Like, he did all the right things he was supposed to do, which I still think I don't trust Eric. I don't trust most of these folks in this house. Brian and
No, every single one of them tingles my spidey sense. Every single one of them.
Yep, I agree. I'm with you too. But Nick
Vial or whatever sprung my spidey sense. That motherfucker's been on like 10 shows.
That is true
and
too.
It was the best the last time.
Yep.
So what I consider suspect is definitely not the same judgment of pretty much anybody on these shows.
That is true too. But all of them, like, I do think that the whole "I've never brought a woman home" in the house, I feel like that's very still concerning because you are getting up there.
Oh yeah, Rachel was really high key, like shook about that. Like really, like I don't want to go.
But to be fair, like, yo, she's in her 30s, gotta do the meet the parents, and you've never brought someone home, and you're in your late 20s. That is a little scary. I don't disagree with her in that regard.
Oh, I don't disagree with her. I was just more like, I think it's the first time I've seen her like shook.
Yeah. But then again, like, I can't necessarily judge myself, because I'm definitely gonna be 26, and I've never brought a man home to my parents' house either. But I think because I grew up in New York, and New York dating is a little bit different in terms of we typically
It's no more different in the South. Bitch, are you kidding me? They interview for marriage and like blood tests in the South. So trust me, I've been very selective.
Yeah. So I'm just like, listen, I really haven't even dated anyone. We talked about this in previous episodes. I haven't really dated anyone, so I have had no one to bring. But I'm not bringing any riffraffs into my mama's house. Not today. Not today. Absolutely not. So I get it. No, and I get it. But like Eric has never, Eric never doing that before and going on the show, I think is a different story because it's like, bruh.
That is very true. Like we're not on the Bachelorette or the Bachelor. Like let's keep it real. But I've seen that a lot actually. There's been a lot of contestants where they've been like, I've never been in love. I've never been in a long-term relationship. And then there was one girl, I remember one year, she was in a 12-year relationship, got dumped. And like, I think she just came with all the issues from it.
I mean, listen, relationships are hard. Like, it's as technology improves, as life kind of evolves, like throughout society, people are getting married later and later because realistically in this economy, people very rarely can't like barely afford to pay their bills, let alone like have another person in the house or have children. So like I can see why it takes a little longer for people to find someone that they want to actually marry. Getting married in your early 20s is very, very, very rare. And me being in my mid-20s, I definitely am seeing that now. In your late 20s, your early 30s, your mid-30s, I'm seeing more and more people, especially in the 30 mark, settling down either with long-term like relationships or actually getting married or whatever that looks like. But yeah, Eric is still 28, 29? So there's that. Now, Rachel's a little different. Rachel seemed like she's had long-term relationships. Rachel seems like she's dated men before and brought people to her home. And she's only 32. It's just different experiences. I don't fault him on that because I'm living the same life and we're not that far in age. But again, I'm not on national television.
Yeah, no, true that.
But she definitely looked really like concerned and shook. Like, ooh, I don't know about that, bruh.
Yep.
She wasn't really feeling it. But Adam went. Obviously, of course, Eric was gonna get that rose. I yelled in my house when he got it. I was like, yes, victory. And so now that's pretty much the end of the episode. This is going to be a very short episode because honestly, we knew who was probably going to leave this house because everybody else we knew but those two people.
Yeah, and that's the thing I will say about the Eric and before we like go to like sum up basically is I don't know. Like I'm glad Eric's making it to the end. And I do believe she definitely maybe has some feelings for him. But the only reason why Eric is in third place is because of how fucked up Dean is.
Yeah. And listen, and that was a Hail Mary. When I tell you nobody expected that, nobody expected that. I really thought Eric was going to be the next one to go until I saw that preview. And then I was like, "Ooh, wait, my man might got a chance." And honestly, now Rachel really loves himself for some Brian. But if this read from these Black Mamas happened the way I wanted to, he might.
Let's talk about the preview for next episode real quick, because that shit's serious.
Juicy.
So next. Oh, actually, real quick though. So we'll do the preview for next episode, and we'll sum up with who we think is gonna end up where next. So next episode, it looks like you just said, like the first clip they showed was of basically like, hey, we're going home, and hometown dates mean a lot. And the first clip they showed was of Eric, and I guess they could really tell that she was very much concerned about meeting Eric's mother.
Yeah, you can see all her eyeballs. She was like, why the fuck am I here?
Yeah, and like she's just like, I don't want to go. You know what I mean? But usually those are like, nervous, whatever happens, and then it ends up being okay. It didn't look like Eric had any other drama. But then we go to Peter with his mother, and it looks like Peter's mother is spilling the tea about like, yeah, he may not be the one for you, sweetheart.
Yeah, Peter, first of all, so let's talk to Peter's mother, who had the I love me some black man haircut.
Girl, yes. Or the like, I need to talk to your manager haircut, as I also like to call it.
Yes. I was like, what is with this hairstyle? I was like, not my fave, but hey, girl, you like it, I love it. But yeah, no, she was like, listen, you might not be pleased, but
and I bet you that comes from her, like, have been, had some girl take it home and they disappear, when it's witness protection.
Didn't Peter say a sad story about his other girlfriend who, like, drove off in the rain this episode?
Yeah.
Too? I don't remember the whole story, but I was just like, it seemed really sad, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with it. The reason why I wanted to talk about Peter is like his mom says like it may not happen, and that's Peter crying in the next scene.
It is Peter crying in the next scene, and then even when they're later on in some scenes when they're in the church, and she brings him to the church so they could talk to a priest about marriage. Which I'm like, okay, you are really
Rachel. I'm cool with you and your faith, but damn, can you ease a motherfucker into that shit? Like that is a lot of faith.
But you know what it is? I don't even think it was the faith thing. I think she was trying to start pushing him into the I really want to get married. And so she took him to a church to talk to a priest about marriage in particular. I really don't even think it's the faith part, where it's just like she wants to get married. She's been very clear since day one, I want to be married. I want to have a husband. I want to be engaged. I want to be a fiance. At the end of this goddamn season, don't play my life. So
and you know what? Apparently she admits that she is engaged. So
she is engaged. Something in my spirit is telling me it's nobody in the house. Something, I don't know why. Something in my spirit is telling me that it's okie doke and there's nobody in the house. I don't know why that's what I feel, but that's honestly like I've been thinking more and more about it. And all of them have like really genuine issues, and she can probably look past all of them. Except Eric. Well, I don't think she's gonna pick Eric. But no, an issue of him never being in a relationship is a problem for her. It is what it is, but like, yeah, no, something about it in my spirit tells me, like, wouldn't it be some fucked up shit if, like, she don't marry any of them, but she ends up getting with Fred? That'd be hilarious.
No, Fred is gone. You might as well say that she's gonna marry.
She was like, he was in front of me all along, my childhood sweetheart. No, but yeah, so she took him to the church to be like, yo, marriage again. She's very big on this, like, I'm getting married. And I'm not mad at you.
Hey, dude, she's 32. So,
right.
I mean,
do what you want.
Some girls feel that pressure.
If you are determined to get married, girl, get you a ring if you need to get a ring. I'm not mad at it, but yeah, she is pressed, okay, with a capital P. So then the Eric part, they sit in the basketball court, which I thought was kind of cute, and he's talking to her and whatnot. Then we get a little preview of Dean's house. Oh, yeah. Dean. His dad, I don't know, I can't speak a lot about it because I need to see the full episode in context. When he said his dad was eccentric, he wasn't wrong.
No. Like, he was being kind. His dad looks a little crazy.
He looks a little odd. He looks, you know, a couple of beers short of a six pack. It's fine. But he's my man is out here, okay? And Dean looks stressed the fuck out. He is over it. My man is crying. He got his hand on his head. He got migraines. He is like, Dean is going through it, okay? And I was talking to one of my friends who watched this. She was like, this is really kind of the first, like, a lot of these guys, like, lie and talk about how, you know, they're very close to their family. She was like, this is one of the few times I remember from watching the Bachelor franchise where somebody's family was, like, really not together and dysfunctional, and they admitted it early on. So, we'll see if that honesty gives him a chance to go into the final three, or if the craziness of his family, Rachel's like, no thanks. We'll see, but it's a gamble in terms of, like, he was very upfront and honest about it. I will say that. He definitely was honest about it. But it might not work in his favor. His dad looks crazy as fuck. I'm sorry, but he do.
Yeah, he does. And I'm so ready for it. Like, my body is ready. Like, I can't wait to see.
This is the drama I was looking for. Finally, we've come to this, and I'm like, oh, y'all, this is some juicy shit. I'm here for it. This is drama. Brian, you know, smooth operator, can't trust him. He is now amongst the table of black women, and they are all looking at him like,
Yeah. I don't know what that is. As I told you, I was confused. I thought that Brian had some weird, like, you know, nuclear family with, like, half black people. Because where's Brian's family? Like, is he in with Rachel's family? Like, where's Brian's family? I did not.
When we saw those, like, 2 to 3 white women, not white women, but white people, and I just assumed that they just decided to do a round table of both the families.
No, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Maybe Rachel's family is more mixed, but that is not, like, I don't know. I'm confused. I'll just put it to you that way. I'm real confused as to what that's gonna do.
Rachel likes shaking the table, so we'll see how this, like, kind of pans out. But the sister, cousin, auntie, whoever was making that comment in the talking head was like, I don't trust him. Essentially, I was like, all right, girl, we here together. And
she had it right. Like, let's be honest. I really do think she had it right.
Yes, she's absolutely correct. And can we talk about, I'm happy to finally see black people come in Rachel's life. Because those friends, I just knew, I was like, one episode we're going to get her actual friends from her sorority.
Those are not her friends.
Those are not her. I wonder if any of her sorors will actually come and sit with them too.
Well, usually when they do hometown dates, it's friends and family. Like, they get the whole group together. But it's usually 1 week of the Bachelor's friends and family, and then they go the next week after she makes a cut, where they then meet her friends and family. So they may have pulled clips from the week after next, because that would have been weird to me to have that back to back. Because those are the two big episodes. And then they do, like, the last episode that I am genuinely interested in, which is the Men Tell All episode. And I can just tell you, like, I know you're, like, feeling the steam of, like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. The recap of that shit is like the Real Housewives recap. Like, it's so good.
Because men are so petty and gossipy. It's delightful.
I know.
You know, don't nobody like to
see Iggy again. We're gonna see Make the Bachelor Great again. Unfortunately, we're gonna see all of these motherfuckers that Waboom is gonna come back. Like, they all come back.
Which don't nobody spill tea more than a straight straight male.
Yes.
Straight grown men love to be in the mix and be very mixy and dramaful. Yeah, they don't like to admit
Josiah is gonna be back with his mess.
Yo, he's messy as fuck. When I tell you his exit and the way he was talking to his talking head at the end of his exit, I was like, oh, he's gonna be delight. We get Kenny back too, maybe. That'll be nice.
Yeah, we do. Everybody comes back.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm excited. We get Kenny back. Yay! I want to hear Kenny how he's doing his life. I don't follow him. I haven't found his social media yet. I'm gonna find it. Okay, and then what was the last one? We said Eric. We saw Peter. We saw Brian. We saw Dean. They cut. Obviously, they're doing like the next weeks on the Bachelorette. So it seems like next week will be She goes to meet the parents. The week after will be they meet her family, and then she makes her final decision. Her final dress looked really nice, by the way. I thought it was really cute.
I do too, yeah.
It was a nice dress. But yeah, like at this point, I think we're all tired. We just kind of want to see where we're at right now. Not gonna lie, the meat. I'm now have a re-infused kind of vigor because we are now getting Dean's family looks like a hot ass mess. That's gonna be a great television. And then the next week we get a black ass family, which we have never gotten before. So a black ass family interrogating 2 white men, 1 Colombian, and 1 black person, depending on what the top 3 is going to be delightful. Specifically for the 2 white men. I feel like Peter, in something in his eyes tells me that he can handle himself. If Dean makes the top 3, Dean might be shook. Dean looks like a strong breeze will really like freak him out. So he might not make it through if he makes top 3. I feel like Peter will still make top 3. But yeah, I feel like he might be able to hold his own. But then again, Rachel's family, just from those little clips, they seem very cordial, but they will cut you. So
yeah. So this is what I am thinking it's going to be. I think it's going to be the last 2 will be Eric and Brian.
Yeah.
With Peter becoming the bachelor. And Dean gets cut after hometown, but before you meet her family. Now, that could also be reversed. I also see it going the other way, where it's down to Peter and Brian, and Eric goes home after, meet the families, like the families meet him. But I still think Dean is gone the next episode. So I agree with you on that.
So who do you think will be the bachelor if the second scenario happens?
So they're not going to make Eric the bachelor.
Which is unfortunate, because I think he'd actually be an interesting bachelor. I wouldn't be mad at him.
There were some black men in the house I saw that could be the bachelor. He just wasn't the one. You know what I mean?
And I agree, but then again, like, I didn't think he was going to be top 4 either. I think, as I've seen more and more of his personality, I think he could carry a whole show.
But it's more about the fans. It's not, like, that really hasn't... I mean, I know we're fans, but I'm talking about... They want people who have, like, an online swelling of, like, people being like, no, make them this, make them this, make them this. So Peter is definitely the front runner.
No, and I agree. But if the second scenario happens, if you had to choose between, and they could pick guys from the later seasons, but if you had to choose between like Eric and Dean, I think Eric can handle and carry a whole season of The Bachelor than Dean can.
Well, I will tell you this though: they don't always even choose from the current season.
Which is
so Nick Vial was not in the season prior to the one where he became the Bachelor. He did Bachelor in Paradise and became the Bachelor.
Right, which definitely could happen too. It says a lot about this season in terms of the scrubs they picked, where it's like, ooh, slim pickings on who could be the Bachelor.
Well, actually, what's really funny is there were better candidates early on. They just all fucked up so quickly.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Like, any of the guys that, like, I could see being the Bachelor, I'm like, no. Like, I'm just, like, knocking them off in my head.
Like, they all just did shit so early on where you're like, bitch, you couldn't work your way out of a paper bag, let alone, like, you know?
Like, carrying a whole season is a lot different. Like,
there's been guys that had fan support that didn't make it, and I think it was because they couldn't carry the whole season. Like, Luke was the guy that got kind of jumped over for Nick Vial, and I believe it was because they just felt he was too boring and like he couldn't hold a whole season. And I disagree with him.
Yeah, like that's the thing.
If it was fun, I don't think would have caused he wouldn't have had the right amount of TV.
No, I agree. Like, you definitely have to have somebody who's interesting, and that's the thing. Carrying the whole season is important. Like, Rachel, love her or hate her, she's carried the whole season. So, good for her.
Although I'm starting to agree with her choices more now than I did at the very beginning. I will say that as well.
Because now we have a smaller sample size. I think that it's just a numbers game. So, like, the fact that we do have, and that's a big deal. We have a black top 4 contestant. That's a big damn deal. That's awesome. And I hope he becomes top 3. Listen, I just knew he was gonna be. Eric's a lucky motherfucker. I'm gonna tell you this much.
He really is. Eric is like slid in and just, yeah.
He's a lucky motherfucker. Not saying that he's not I'm not saying that he's not a good fit for Rachel. I actually think he would be a pretty decent fit for Rachel. But he's just gotten lucky because the times where I'm like, oh no, he's definitely gonna get eliminated. Somebody else fucks up and overshadows him. So good for Eric, man. He, God or whatever deity or any deity, if not the area, the nature, the spirits, whatever you believe in, was on his side. Because when I tell you, my man has really, the first time I looked at him, I was like, this man is not going to make it past like week 3.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I was not expecting him to make it this far. I saw somebody like Diggy or Josiah being where he is, not Eric or Will.
Yeah, not Eric. Will done surprised us. Josiah came out and turned into an asshole. Like, everybody was just like no. Like, and man, Will, I'm still not over how Will royally fucked that up.
Oh, and can we not wait until the Bachelor, like the Men Tell All episode, as I've told you, like, that is the last one that I really, really care about. And it's really great that it comes when it comes because, again, my interest is waning as we get to the last few. But, yeah. Yeah,
Will, my man Will, you definitely didn't do that correctly in any way, shape, or form. I don't blame her for saying you ain't getting this rose. I would have done the same thing. But, hey, bruh.
It's still the funniest shit ever. I can't wait to see that clip again. In fact, I may, when we turn off, go talk about it. Anyway, so we've decided who we're going to make it. I think both of us are pretty sure that she's probably going to end up with Brian, though.
I actually think she might end up with Peter. It depends.
You really do?
Yeah. I honestly think it depends on when he meets the family based on the clips. But
I just don't think Pete's going to tell her the things that she wants to hear.
Welcome back to another episode of the Blacklorette podcast, Melanin and Misadventures. I am obviously not Jacqueline, who usually does our intro. It's Joi here. Jack is actually out in San Diego Comic-Con being a boss-ass bitch. So I'm stuck here instead of meeting his spaceship and doing the work for this episode of the podcast. But Mario, I brought a special guest, a friend of mine who I've known since our Blavity days, my homie Elon.
I can't wait. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm so looking forward to this mental. It's just gonna be
here. Yeah. I am like I've been itching to talk about this season, so that was an iconic piece of television. For you inviting me here.
Of course, first of all, you're the homie. Second of all, I need someone to balance my stress because, like Jack, Elon is a longtime Bachelor franchise watcher. You've been pretty much watching damn near the whole 15 years. Right?
Bitch, motherfucker.
Basically, yeah. I have watched every season of The Bachelor and Bachelorette. I'm kind of obsessed. It's ridiculous how much I watch and how much I think about it because I think the whole premise is absolutely ridiculous. But I've been watching since I was a teenager, and now I'm 30 years old, and where has the time gone? And now it's 15 years, and I'm still watching the show. So yes, I am dedicated.
He's a wild card for me. I don't know.
Let's get into this bullshit.
You're right. I'll give you that. Right. He is a wild card. I don't know where that'll go either because I've not seen enough to say hey, she's in love with him. But obviously, I could be really wrong.
Still shocked. My man has really made it to the final 4. I'm not gonna lie to you.
The lone black ranger. He's still there.
He's really holding it down for the Melanin. No, well, I was gonna say Brian, but nah. Brian is definitely like a white Hispanic, but
definitely a white Cuban.
Yes,
definitely.
Absolutely. But we know, Eric is really the
girl. You posted it, like Joy,
caramel and the sea of vanilla.
I didn't post it. It was me and Jack talked about this previous episode, and I retweeted it because I needed.
If I would have put money on who would be the lone black person, wouldn't have been Eric.
If he had that beard,
would not have been Eric.
Who would have been your
facial hair? He looks like a light skinned.
My personal choice, I always from day one, always liked Kenny.
I'm at D23 right now, and that's awesome.
Because of racism and the love of his child. So the facial hair.
Kenny was so intense at the end. He just got so intense, and I was just like, dude, just lay, kick back a bit. Like, he was good.
All right, I'm not gonna blame him too much because he definitely was dealing with like peak racism.
Yep. So you can find me at That's Jacqueline, and I'm gonna be tweeting at D23 this weekend. So if you want to follow along with what's happening with Disney, or next week I'll be with the whole BGN crew at San Diego Comic-Con. You can follow me online, and you can also find me at That Jacqueline on everything else: Instagram, Snaps, whatever parts of the internet you choose to hit.
Yep. And
yes, he ruined that for himself. Yes. So I'm glad that he kind of, maybe he watched and was like, maybe I shouldn't have, laid it out there and said, XYZ. We all know what he said. But it's kind of traumatizing as a Black woman to kind of relive what he said.
But I've appreciated his honesty, but maybe it's just me. I would just lie. Like, you could have just kept that to yourself.
Yeah, it was a weird tidbit. It was absolutely strange because it was just like, I've never dated Black women, and he was just kind of like very matter of fact about it. And it was just like, I grew up the same way you did, and I've always dated Black people. Like it was just, I don't know. Maybe he looked back on it and was like, okay, well, maybe this is my chance to go back out there and date more Black women. But I don't know. I hope that's what he did, but you never know.
Well, let's hope Will finds him a young chocolate queen. But moving on to the hometown dates, which obviously part one of this is Rachel goes and meets her contestants' families. And we get a nice little myriad. Going on to last Black person on the show, Eric, had, in my opinion, the best hometown date out of the four. He really came out smelling like roses for the most part out of every other contestant. My man has been skating nicely these last couple of episodes.
Eric has been pretty consistent. He entered into the show being very vocal about his speculations. He was very, kind of weary, and he was very vocal about that, but he made it clear that he liked Rachel. So I respect him speaking his mind on, I don't know about this show. I don't know about this process, but he was very clear, and he was very, kind of intentional in getting Rachel's attention, and he did. So,
yeah. So we go into Baltimore. They're in the basketball court. Obviously, Eric is a pretty tall, lean dude. He has a basketball body. So obviously he played basketball his whole life. He is a Hampton alum, which I found that on Instagram.
I found that out. I found that out the other day, and I have so many friends who went to Hampton, and none of them know him, and that is a freaking shame. Like, I am upset because I'm like, somebody has to know this dude. But he's a Hampton alum and from Baltimore, has that Baltimore accent that is very, could be a little iffy sometimes, but his accent is very cute. And his friend came to the basketball court. So that was fun. But what do you think about, I want to kind of hear what you want to like his background is much different from Rachel's. He's always talking about being from, the inner city and not having a structured life and all of this stuff. So do you think that Rachel looks past that or judges him or?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know much about Rachel. I think she keeps it close to the vest, and she kind of does this whole season, in my opinion, where I can't tell if that's something that personally bothers her. You can even look at the broader contestants. 50% of them are personal trainers. She's a lawyer. So, and she hasn't made any comments towards that. I don't know if that's her personality or she's something she confronts later on in the show, but Eric is one of the two personal trainers. Peter's the other one.
Yeah.
And the fact that he comes from inner city shouldn't matter that much because he did go to Hampton. He does have a career of some capacity. He does have a life and whatnot.
He's a supportive family. Let me tell you, that whole family gathering and them dancing on the couch was the blackest thing I've ever seen.
So great. It was so amazing. I absolutely loved it. Like, it was just like, it was natural, and Rachel was going with it. It was just like, yes, I was just like, this is like this is family time. This is how it's supposed to be. And like, I don't know. It just felt real, and it just felt organic, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
It definitely was very authentic. Love me some Aunt Verna. Aunt Verna is my auntie in my head. I love me some Aunt Verna with her little crew cut. And then you have the mom and dad in the house, which Eric calls, he calls his dad like Papa Wisdom or something like that. He always talks about how he's a really wise guy, which I thought was really cute. Even regardless of him being in a quote unquote like low income, wasn't raised very well, like quote unquote raised in the hood, like he definitely has a very large supportive system. And a large family support kind of built in and baked in. And I think you can kind of see that in his personality. Eric does give me with like, and me and Jack have been talking about this whole season. Eric behind the eyes definitely looks like he'll cheat on you. But he does.
I don't know what that means. What does it look like when somebody would cheat on you?
Something about him, maybe it's just how I view, something about him and his eyeballs. I was just like, something I don't trust. Like, I don't kind of trust the I've never been in love ruse, because it's so linear, and it's like too linear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that, because the thing is, I feel like, I think a lot of men try to use their, get sympathy from women, and women are very empathetic. So when women hear, I wasn't, my mom didn't show me that much love, and I've never really been in love, and this is my first real relationship, women want to kind of fix that. So it's kind, and not saying all women want to do this, but there are, certain women who see that and say, ooh, like a project. I really want to get this dude. I really want to care for him. I really want to show him that I care for him. So I get that. And then, when you're all in the thick of it and you're into this dude and he turns around and you're with him and he does something that is messed up, his excuse is, I was never loved, and I've never been in love, and I don't know how to do this. So I can definitely understand that, but I don't know. I like Eric. I really do.
Don't get me wrong. I like Eric. I do like Eric, but he definitely gives me a 444. I suck at love. I need a do-over type of dude.
I mean, we don't have to get into it, but we already know men are trash. So, I mean,
but there's something about his eyeballs. I'm like, here's how my girlfriend, who's a coworker of mine, described it. She was like, listen, Eric is one of those types of dudes where, because this is quote unquote his first love, he doesn't realize that he could love again. Right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he'll get so into it. And people make mistakes. Men make way more mistakes, more life-changing mistakes. But people do make mistakes, and he's gonna have this situation where he's gonna be so heartbroken, try to call off on love, and then realize like, oh, wait a minute, I can recreate this feeling again.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand this. Hopefully, he is past that point. I don't know if he has shared that, or I don't know. Maybe he has experience some type of heartache, not necessarily heartbreak.
Sure.
And I'm sure there have been women along his, through his life that he has been, kind of attached to. Hopefully, at 29 years old, hopefully he has at least experienced one before him trying to propose to Rachel.
I agree with that too. Well, let me ask you your perspective, being in the 30 plus crowd. Obviously, Rachel is older than our typical bachelorette leads. I think she is the oldest bachelorette contestant of years past, being I think 32, which is it's really, they make it sound like she is 45. She's definitely not that old.
Right? No,
at all.
Not old at all. So
right, I agree. So you approaching the over 30 crowd, right? You're gonna be turning 31. Him being 28, 29, Eric, and never bringing a person home. I'm going to be 26 next week, and I know you and me are Leo, so yes.
I've also never brought a man home to my family ever, but I've never really had a boyfriend ever either. Do you think that that's as alarming to you as it was to Rachel in her response to Eric being 29 and never bringing a girl home?
For me, like personally, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. But since Rachel is on this marriage track, I think it is. I mean, and the Bachelor Nation, like marriage track is fast. Like people meet and then they get married. So that is her, like that's her goal. Her goal is to be married, and whether it be right or not, I'm not sure because only the two people that are getting married can say it's right or not, but it couldn't be me. I couldn't be so focused on being married and then my partner never bringing somebody home. Now, as a single person who is just still growing and learning herself and, figuring out the world, marriage isn't really on my mind. I don't really believe in marriage, but for Rachel, I understand her, it being a red flag for her or an alarm for her, because you want somebody to have that experience, especially if you want to spend your life with someone. You want to know what you like. You want to know what you don't like in a partner, in a lifetime partner. And being legally married to somebody is a lot. So yeah, that's a huge commitment. And I don't think it would be a knock for somebody dating in the average world, but in the Bachelor world, it is definitely, it's definitely a red flag.
People move at super speed, which don't make no damn sense to me because this show gets filmed within like 2 months. Where I'm like, You've never even dated each other monogamously.
Exactly. And you don't even know, you don't have a real date with them. You have a real date with them until the show is finished. And that is something, even though I've watched the show forever, that's something that is really hard for me to get around because you never really experience real life with them. You've never ever sat in a restaurant with them alone without cameras.
Yep.
And you've never gone on this fantasy date. Every single date that is on The Bachelor, Bachelorette is planned by the producers. So you have this extraordinary, extravagant date, and it's not real life. So, so I don't know. Rachel is very focused on marriage, and I get that. But I wish that she could take a step back and date a little bit in real life a bit. So
I 150% agree with you. You're going to laugh when you actually listen and do a playback on this episode, because the episode before, I mentioned this when I was like, okay, half the dates that Rachel's gone on have been out of the country in like goddamn Europe. What happens when your man just want to take you to Chick-fil-A? I love Chick-fil-A dates. Like,
exactly.
What happens then? So overall, I would say A+ on Eric and his date. I think he had the best date out of all of the four. He did a great job. He really opened up. He was very likable. And if you want to be blessed, go to the Blacklorette Twitter account. We actually found Eric's Instagram at Eric Bigger and found some pictures of him with his new dark facial hair. And listen, my man looks refreshed and renewed.
He's beautiful. Okay,
looking great.
Like.
Teeth look nice and white. The facial hair, I don't know why he cut that facial hair off his face. He was not ready to win. He needs to keep growing it because it looks amazing on him.
He is very attractive with or without the facial hair, but the facial hair, I'm one for a beard, so I'm here for it. I more facial hair, the better. So
yeah, he came out really looking authentic. Speaking of authentic, someone who is not authentic is Brian, which we go to his hometown date. We go into Miami, which is hilarious because Brian does give me Pitbull Dale vibes. And Brian, in his white Hispanic annoyingness, starts off the date kissing loudly like he usually does, and then plays dominoes with some old Cuban men and teaching Rachel how to play. The most important thing for Brian's hometown date, though, is that his mother thinks that she is married to him.
He's a true mama's boy. Like, he is. His mother. Well, we'll get to that. But his mother started like tearing up when talking about him, and I was just like, I'm not a mother, so I don't know. I can't relate, but tearing up about your child. That is. I'm just like, you know what? You need to chill. You need to relax.
But that's what I'm saying. She's not even tearing up because he got married or, he just had this major milestone in his life. He's just bringing his TV girlfriend to Miami to visit, but there's no guarantee he's going to win. So her tearing up, and he's over 30, is weird. It's very weird to me. And
it's very strange.
It's odd. So the fact that she's out here crying, and then she starts threatening Rachel, and God bless her, looked her dead in her eye and just started chuckling. I was like, you better than me? Because I'm like, excuse me?
Well, I think Rachel was a little bit nervous. I think she was trying to gather her thoughts. I think she's kind of just like, she does not know, like, the last girlfriend that Brian had, we all know, did not get along with his mother. That's the reason why he and his former girlfriend broke up. And that's tough, and I get that. But I don't know. The whole thing, I don't know. Brian is just, he's just strange. He's just strange. I've never been here for Brian.
I think Brian is a used car salesman. I think Brian... it sells Wake Up Now. Like, that's Brian to me. Like, he's so slimy. Like, he be selling, like, herbal teas on Instagram. That's Brian to me. Like,
he's so slimy. And I'm like, I'm so, like, baffled that Rachel does not see his sliminess. Because it's so apparent to everybody that's watching. And it's like, Rachel, why can't you see this dude is like, he's fake. He's completely fake. And
she really digs that really loud ass kissing. She does. Like, I will, and this is the perfect time to interject. Let's get into some Dean tea. So Dean went on Entertainment Tonight, and had some opinions about Peter, Eric, and Brian, and he said, I think Rachel would be incredibly happy with Peter or Eric, but I think she is very much in lust with Brian right now.
She's very much in lust with him. Very, yes. Very much.
And I don't get it. Like, I don't see it, because I don't see him as attractive.
He's not attractive to me. It's not that he's not my cup of tea. That, like, him being, like, marketed as the Latin lover is corny to me. And, like...
his Spanish is uncomfortable. It is. And let's be clear, we are not saying that Spanish is an uncomfortable language. The language of Spanish comes in many shapes and many forms, and I thoroughly enjoy it. However, just not Brian's.
I am a child of the diaspora. I have part of my family is of Afro-Cuban descent. There is nothing wrong with of being of the Latinx culture. There is nothing wrong with it. But Brian is very very Deuce Bigalow, male gigolo to me. And
yes.
And I can't get with it. And I think that, and I'm like, Rachel, you deserve so much better. Like, he reads corny to me, and I just can't do it.
I'm with you. All right. The next hometown date was interesting.
Very.
We start with Peter going. Where's he from? Wisconsin. Peter.
Yeah,
we go to
Milwaukee.
Yes. So we go to, is that Midwest? That's the Midwest, right?
Midwest, yes.
We're going to the Midwest. Here's where Peter got me fucked up. When he when he starts by, I want to introduce you to my friends, and we see two of his black male friends, and who's trailing behind him? And who's trailing behind his black male friends? Them white women. And I'm sitting here like, are they together? They're in relationships. So now we got a chocolate swirl triple date. And the optics were not great. I don't know what Peter thought he was doing.
Not at all.
Here's my thing. And I've always been a fan of Peter since day one. When I first saw him get out the car, I saw him in his gap tooth. I was like, if they have kids together, that would be adorable as fuck. I thought he's a very fine and attractive white man. I have no problem in saying that. Good looking dude. I like him in his dates with Rachel. He seems like a stand-up guy. Peter's one of those people who, and even he had his, nerdy black friend, which as a member of Black Girl Nerds, fuck you for the stereotype. Coming in and saying that he doesn't see color, but he was able to count that 8 out of 10 of his friends were black, then you can see color, bruh. That is the definition of seeing color. So Peter is one of those well-intentioned white dudes, and I'm good on that. I'm over it. But if you like it, I love it, Rachel. That's where I'm at with her. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so was it Dean or was it Peter? I'm not sure, but when Will made it clear a few episodes ago, when we're bringing Will back into the mix, when Will made it clear that him as a black man had never dated, didn't really date black women. Was it Peter? Maybe it was Dean, but somebody made a comment of, I've never dated black women.
It was Peter.
It was Peter. That's what I thought. So it was just like he sees color, but it's not on his radar. He's not totally, he's just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say ignorant to it, but he's aware, but he's not totally aware. And the optics, like you said, the optics of it, of him dating black women versus Will, totally different. Now, fast forward to his friends, his 2 black male friends, which I assume are very close. And then he made that comment about 8 out of 10, 8 out of the 10 of my best friends are black or whatever. And I don't know. I'm very, and black people in Wisconsin, they might be different. So I don't know. Definitely, he's a very handsome man. And Rachel seems to dig him. But I think I wish Rachel would have said more about race, this season, or I wish the producers would have allowed her to say more things about race and interracial dating, because they totally missed the mark, and now we're here, and we have 2 episodes left, and there's not really been much comment on race and interracial dating and black women dating and black women being desired and black women being in love and black women being in love on network television.
Even no matter what you fall on the aisle on, black women want to be married and having those kind of long-term commitments. That's a big optic thing too. I agree wholeheartedly. The closest we ever got to it was actually during Eric's hometown date when Aunt Verna had the conversation with her. It's how do you feel about being the first black bachelorette? Which, if you've listened to these episodes in the past, me and Jacqueline have been saying since the beginning, they got to bring her real black friends. Because if you guys aren't familiar with this little tidbit, Rachel Lindsay's a Delta from the South. She got sorors.
She listen, Rachel has had a few black girl moments, so I know what she's about.
Right.
So I get it. I see it. I see it in her. But I just wish that the network were more well versed in talking about black women, being loved on television and being shown affection on television and being pursued on television. Because I think that a lot of statements could have been made and they didn't make them. So, Rachel, it's definitely not Rachel's fault. And, but ABC just missed the mark.
Listen, Rachel, sis, if you want to write a book, I will gladly spend money on it.
Exactly. Yeah. But back to this date with Peter.
Oh wait, no, I just wanted to add another thing. When I knew I wasn't really banging with ABC, when they brought her quote quote unquote friends, they all look like members of Fifth Harmony.
But those are all women from her season, the last season of The Bachelor. They weren't like
real friends. That's my thing. Is like, if you're bringing her friends, where like that's what me and Jack have been talking about. Like, yo, I want to see her real black girlfriends. I have seen Rachel's Instagram. I know she got sorors that are in the area that I would easily just, oh girl, you want me on TV? I got you, girl. I'll just fly out real quick and do what you need to do and hop back over to their day-to-day lives. Just to your point, it's definitely a network thing where it's like, yo, you're prohibiting her for being her great black self that we've been seeing specks of, not only throughout the season, but I would say mostly on social media, where I'm like, like when she tweeted about like somebody was kissing her and they had her hands, their hands in her hair, and she was like, my tracks were screaming. And it's just little things like that. And I was just like, yo, that's funny, and I relate, and I get that. Or when that one of the white former contestants of The Bachelorette or Bachelor said something about, oh, is this love and hip hop? And she went in and was like, oh, I got time, and was real shady to her, and Shorty had to like delete her account. Like, I know it's there. I just want to see more of it.
I mean, it's totally there. And then if you notice, if all of her profile pictures and all of her stuff, like that is kind of marketed towards ABC, and has to do with the show, has her in, you know, whether it be straight tracks and, you know, respectable hair and all this stuff. But people who follow her on, you know, her Instagram stories will say, you know, she had her hair natural. She had her hair in braids. Like, it's, you know, they will, you know, kind of market her and kind of package her in a certain way that is more, you know,
malleable. Yeah,
exactly. But she's definitely, you know, shown, they've definitely captured a few black girl moments, and I just wish they had opened up the discussion more. And I wish it wasn't the black people who had to open up the discussion about race, because it's not our job. You know what I'm saying?
It's not. But we're the only, realistically though, in those situations, we're the only ones who are considerate enough towards black people in those spaces where we're just like, it's a good, like a visceral, hey sis, I just want to check up on you.
Mm-hmm. And that's a sad thing, because white people can be very oblivious to what we go through and what we experience. So it kind of sucks that we always have to bring it up and say, hey, did you notice this? And did you notice that? But, you know, and then when you bring it up to a white person, they're like, oh, I never noticed that. And then it's kind of just like, oh, come on. Like,
yeah, like, how could you have not? Like, realistically, the show's been on for 15 goddamn years. There has never been, a black person in as far along on a bachelor, a male contestant standpoint as Eric, and there has never been a black lead of any of these shows in the Bachelor franchise. Don't bullshit us. Like, you know it's been lily white. Like, come on.
So they I don't know, the network kind of pacified the situation by making Rachel the Bachelorette, and I don't think they were prepared for the bigger discussions, and I wish they were, but they're not.
They're not. Let's continue just kind of closing out on Peter. Obviously, the hope and prayer based on the optics is we're not getting a unknowing fetishizing scenario. We talked a little bit about the bias, man. That the optics on that, man, that it just ain't look great. I'm not gonna front on y'all. It just didn't look great in terms of the optics on what ABC was trying to set up with that scene and look. Because you just can't help to be like, wait a minute.
You're like, yes, white man brings his two black friends and their white partners.
Just didn't. It optically. It looked a little funny in light. It looked a little messy, and not even because of the interracial part, because obviously we've been trying to root for Rachel. We knew it was going to be an uphill battle to if she picks someone that is not black, she's going to get, you know, she might go through the ringer on terms of social media from other folks. If she chooses somebody that's black, she might get the same scenario. So it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. We generally don't have the issue with interracial relationships is just this kind of notion and optics of interracial relationships are just strictly black and white, one, and then two, that they'll automatically save the world and save America and save love, which is not the case. Right.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that's another thing. Like, even though Rachel has had her lovely, beautiful black girl moments, there have been instances where she's just like, love has no color and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I wish you didn't say that. Right. I wish you absolutely didn't have to say that. I listen, love is love and all of that jazz, but there is something special about seeing a black woman be loved by a black man or a black man be loved by another black man. There is something special about seeing that.
Yeah, black love in any form, absolutely.
Black love in every form is beautiful. So acting like it is a kind of just a moot point is frustrating. So
agreed. And that's the thing with Rachel. She's this layered human being, but she also keeps it close to the vest. We don't know much about Rachel. And she's been on a whole season The Bachelor prior to this. And so it's interesting to see these kind of layers unfold. I'm on the fence with her in my opinion of her. Yeah, no, I'm on the fence with Rachel, just because like I don't know if I like her or not, to be honest. I'm right now not really a big fan of her, but it's what we have so far, so it is what it is, but yeah.
Most of my anger stems from Brian, and I'm just like waiting for her to see how much of a freaking asshole.
That's also an excellent point. I mean, getting away from that terrible, messy ass friend meetup, let's go into the kind of issues or problems with actual Peter's hometown date. We move into, speaking of optics, his mother, who had the I love black men haircut, and
and to explain that for people who may not know, because I know what you're talking about, but please explain.
It's if you parted your hair 50-50, not straight across, not a part, like going up and down, but across from ear to ear, and you flat ironed a bang for the first half in the front, but kept it spiky in the back.
Yes.
That is a John and Kate plus 8.
Plus 8, yes, exactly. It's John and Kate plus 8. That is the I'm a white woman who dates black men haircut.
Yes, and so Peter's mama was and she might have changed her hair just because Rachel was coming. So she knew that she's very accepting of black folk.
She has to know that I'm down.
She has to know. Listen, Peter brought as many black folk as ABC would allow to this meetup. It might run into family. He might have learned that from his mama. We don't know. But anyway, Peter's big issue is that he's not committing, which I'm not going to lie. Out of everybody, he seems the most logical to me, where I'm like, yeah, realistically, y'all haven't really been monogamously dating that you would want to marry this woman, and you've only been dating, quote unquote, one-offly for 2 months. So I can see why you're like, I'm not ready to. If I think a relationship stands the test of time, I'll propose. But I don't see the issue here.
Listen, logic goes out the door when you talk about this show, because if you think about it, you're not even when you think about the production, it's 8 weeks, and you maybe get a one-on-one date. Maybe you get 2, and then you have like 1 group date or 2 group dates. So you maybe spend like a total of like 15 hours with someone, and maybe you don't spend them totally alone, because of course there's always a cameraman there. So you're spending maybe 15 hours with somebody over the course of 8 weeks, and then at the end of 8 weeks, you're expected to propose to them. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous.
I 150% agree. Additionally, here's where it cracks me up. Rachel got a lot of nerve talking about Peter not committing, where she's kept it close to the vest the whole time. And every time these men say "I love you," she just smiles at them and gives them a kiss. She don't even say it back. So, like, girl.
See, this is the thing. If you are, you know, a regular bachelorette viewer like me, you would know that they usually the bachelor or bachelorette, they don't say "I love you" back. They never really do, because they never really want to lean towards somebody or give any hints of who they're choosing, or who they're picking in the end. So they have like masterfully like avoided that question for years and years and years, and saying, you know, they never really say it back. They kind of just smile and, you know, kind of hit like, thank you. Like, that's very kind of you. I'm very flattered. And it's weird. It's very strange, especially when you're expecting somebody to propose. But again, this is not real life. Like, this is not real.
Right. And I get it. It's just like, realistically, that's me. It's like, why am I putting myself out here? And in order for me to stay week by week, I gotta, like, you know, pretty much anything short of cut my heart out of my chest and give it to you and be like, I am yours and yours alone, and you just give me that's sweet, and then give me a kiss on my cheek. No, I'm not doing this shit. So I feel for Peter, man. Like, he's actually being the most logical person in real life, but this is bachelorette life, which is not real life. So whatever.
And I respect him for that. I totally do, because it's you pulling your heart out and saying, here it is, and I love you, and let's do this, and let's make a life together. That's like, you don't really know if you even like someone after 8 weeks. So expecting them to be this person that you're committing to legally is tough. So I don't know. I'm here for Peter on that sense, you know, but Rachel is, you know, she's got a job to do.
No, I agree. Last but not least. Once I go black, I never go back, Dean.
Yes. I mean, he was very, you know, when he met Rachel, he made quite the statement, and I was not here for him at all.
Same.
He has turned me around because he has been very sweet and very genuine about his interests, and I appreciate it. But he's super young.
So I agree with everything except for the turnaround part. He has never turned me around. I have never been a fan of him since he said that, and I was like, absolutely not. And my biggest thing, a reason why I felt like I'm not seeing progression, is because he's super young. Here's the kicker. Dean is my age, and I'm like, bro, you too young. I don't want to date somebody my age.
Like, Listen, I am not going to like dig at 26-year-old, but I remember how I was at 26, and it's a confusing time. It is like from probably 25 to 28, I was hella confused. I did not know who I was. So
I would also say, and I don't like breaking down those kind of gender norms or gender stereotypes. I will say the 26-year-olds my age and my girlfriends are starkly different than the 26-year-olds of my guy friends and their personalities and what stage they are in their lives and how they view the world. I would say that. I just think black women women in general, but particularly black women, just have their shit together, period, the end. No matter what. We
don't have any other choice but to have our shit together. But that's another conversation. But yeah, 26 is a confusing time. It is a transitional time. It is a transitional year. And I don't think that anyone who's 26 should be getting married. And he definitely, I mean, we can get into it, but he's definitely dealing with some family issues. So, and as somebody who has experienced family issues, I would not want that, combined with, trying to work out my family issues, trying to be in love with this girl and trying to make it work and all this stuff. And then being 26, no.
I agree. I think when my man got the call that he was going to be on the show, might have want to call his daddy just let him know, hey, bro, we should probably fix this. Because if I go far, we do need to open up a line of communication. He decided to leave that to chance. And let's do the hometown dates. So we're going to Colorado now, to Dean's house.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dean's house in Aspen.
And it was just a lot. Like, we're not going to get into the details because, honestly, it was just too much. I was here for hilarity, like hilarious drama. It then turned into sad drama, which made me mad because I was like, I can't even laugh and enjoy this.
Oh, it wasn't. It was not a funny drama where it was like his family was overly dramatic. Like Dean had some serious like gripes and issues with his father, and I totally understand that. And I felt I was heartbroken for him because I saw myself in him. So I totally get it.
Last time we spoke, last episode we kind of talked about the preview, me and Jack, and I said I thought that when Dean said his dad was eccentric, it was code word for being racist. I think I was wrong in the reveal, which he might still be racist, I don't know. But, like, he seemed cool on the racism front, maybe, question mark. It was just really focused on Dean and his dad. Man, I will say this, my heart goes out to Dean. Dean lost his mom at a fairly young age. He felt like his dad didn't, like, kind of pretty much disassociated himself and just kind of had, like, a really, like, a kind of a mental break between his self as a father and just himself as a human who lost his wife. And kind of just, like, removed himself emotionally and made himself emotionally unavailable to particularly Dean. We don't get a much insight from the siblings. I mean, Rachel has a conversation with his sister and she cries and whatnot, but I think it seems like the person who felt it the most, who couldn't get past it the most, was Dean. I think a lot of that also has to do with his age and when it happened during that kind of crucial teenager time. It was sad, man, and I'm not gonna lie, my heart went out to Dean because it was nothing about it was funny. Like, yo, that shit is awful. And then speaking of Jacqueline, she was like, we don't typically have hometown dates where it's that dysfunctional. So, you know, getting into this season being more serious than most of years past kind of says a lot in terms of the set of tone. There was a lot of morbid, morose things happening on this season. A lot of it, obviously, the stem being racism, but there are some really sad sob stories with some of these dudes in terms of their relationships, how to interact with women, which, again, I mean, I'm going to say, fuck you to ABC. Y'all pick some scrubs. So here we are, and now we're at the top four, and we're just like, all right.
Yeah. And that's usually a common theme. So, like, usually we always have, you know, when somebody's sharing and beginning to know the main person, the bachelor or bachelorette, they share their, like, you know, their heart-tugging story. Like, oh, I had, you know, I lost my cat to cancer, you know, when I was 5. And, you know, it's that way to kind of bond with each other. But kind of getting into, like, real family issues, I've really never seen that. To the point where we're having, like, a father-son, like, argument on camera. I've never really seen that on this franchise, and I actually commend ABC for doing that, because we're not showing, you know, this is not some kind of, you know, struggle porn where it's like, this black family and they're struggling to get along and they're, you know, arguing all the time. We have this white man from Colorado who's 26 years old, and his father is probably a baby boomer like a lot of our parents, like mine, and his father was just not emotionally available to him, and he is angry at him for that. He's angry at his father for not accepting that and not saying sorry for that, and that's real. So, because, you know, and as I said, I've seen myself in Dean because I've experienced that with my own father, and I commend ABC for showing that, because it wasn't a kind of ploy to get you in, because it was actually a real thing. And if they showed more of that, I think a lot of people would stick around to view into the franchise. But of course, Dean is gone now. So
yeah, I mean, we're gonna fast track this because there's not much more to say. This is a very straightforward episode. I think we all kind of had a feeling. I had a feeling it was either going to be Dean or Eric that was going. Dean, thank the Lord, was the one who left. Not saying thank the Lord that I wanted him to leave per se. I would prefer Brian get the boot. But Dean left. Dean was obviously he did the white man blinking gif when who was it? Brian who got the rose? Brian or Peter? It was Brian.
When Peter got the rose.
Yes, when Peter got the rose, he did the white man. Yes, when Peter got announced with the rose, Dean did the white man blinking gif. He was just so befuddled on, but I love you. Like how?
He was just like, I said I love you, like, and you said it back or whatever, and you just he was really baffled. He was really
surprised, especially because Peter did not say I love you. He was actually one of the only men that did not say it, and he made it through. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not mad at the end of the day. I'm not mad at the top 3 except for Brian. Brian can go. Now let's go into predictions. So a little peek under the hood. We're going to be doing the second part of the hometown dates where the guys come and meet Rachel's family. From the previews, it looks like Rachel's cousin, sister, whoever is going to put that pressure on Brian. Looking forward to that static. I'm definitely excited. I want to see these elders and these mimas react to majority of these white men in the house. And I want to see them interact with Eric to see if we can get another dance session with some black family love and support.
Yes, I'm excited for that.
And this is probably Peter's first time meeting a black family because he's never dated a black woman. So in terms of whole family looking at you like, what are your intentions with my daughter? This is going to be some new shit for Peter.
And then they're from the South too, so it's kind of like...
It's different, yeah.
It's different. Like, they're not like Wisconsin black people. They're like Southern Texas black people, so...
Yeah, who are very shady and will curse you out politely, which is fun, and I'm looking forward to that. All right, predictions. Top 2. Who do you think is going to be? Who do you think is going to be?
I think it's going to be Eric and Brian.
I actually think it's going to be Brian and Peter. Unfortunately, I want it to be Eric and Peter, but Brian is gonna. I in my heart of hearts, I know Brian is going to win because life isn't fair.
And Rachel will be single in 6 months if that's the case.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
I want to make this clear. I know I talked about how Eric looks like somebody who would cheat on you, and I still stand by that. Brian looks like he wouldn't even wait or hesitate. He will cheat on her right before they call him to the camera before he gets the final rose. Like, that is Brian. He is slimy and sleazy. That man is a cheater. He was on a show called The Players Club, which people did their receipts and found pictures of him being on another reality show about being a player in Miami. He gotta go.
I mean, she's so enthralled and so lustful and so, like, I don't know, man. Like, she's just into him, and I don't see it, but...
I don't see it. He looks like a chipmunk. He has these weird and big fat cheeks. And
he kisses weird. He kisses so weird.
He kisses so loud. Like, they have to turn off his mic when they kiss. It's gross.
It's so gross.
Disgusting. Like, I'm over him. I'm over her in their relationship. I don't like that, like, one of the first episodes, like, maybe date, like Alone Time episode 3, he's a chiropractor. He cracked his back. Girl, did you see his credentials? Like, I have questions. And I love chiropractors. If I could marry and dream up my dream man, it would be a chiropractor because I love me some goddamn chiropractic care. And if you are a beautiful and single black man who is a chiropractor, we will be talking about our accounts at the end of this episode. You can slide in them DMs. But, yes, but Brian cracking her back on the goddamn lounge couch, I was like, absolutely not. This is what we're not doing.
You know what? You know what gets me about Rachel, and every time she talks about Brian, I wanted to make this point. She's always just like, Brian's so self-aware. He just says what's on his mind. He says he's in love with me. Sis, that's not what self-aware means. Like,
no.
Like that is.
Or how about this? There's nothing behind Brian's eyes. He is vapid. there's nothing beneath the veneer. Like, I'm telling you this right now.
Yeah.
Every time they have these conversations and these beautiful romantic dates, I'm like, where are you getting this from? She is doing Mr. Fantastic levels of reach to justify this relationship. Because every date they're on, I'm like, where's the connection? Where is the romance? Like, where are you guys having where is it?
It's a physical connection on her end. Of course, she's that, whatever, makes her hot and heavy. I get it, whatever. But I have not seen an interaction with them where it's like, okay, I can actually see them. They actually are friends. They actually really get along. They like click. Too good to be true. Yes, he's too good to be true because he is not real. It's not real between you two. It's just, I don't know.
If they allowed Instagram in the house, she would see how fine Eric and Peter are and make a good decision out of those two. If she picks either or, I'm fine with it. Genuinely fine with it. All I know is Eric has big hands and he loves to give big hugs, which says a lot, I think, in terms of his passion and enthusiasm. And
how
Peter
much
is
been looking at his hands?
What?
I said, how much have you looked at his hands? Eric's
He's a basketball player.
I mean, sure.
I'm just saying, like, he has big hands and he plays basketball. That's when I really noticed the big hands only during the basketball date, which this is another side note where the black moments I enjoyed on the show was. I love that every time they did a competitive sport, the black men were not trying to let her win. They would dunk on her, smack her shot, like, they did not care.
Yes, but she got game, so it's not even like,
but it's funny every time.
She's like very proud of her basketball skills. So I like that because she's not afraid.
I'm saying I like that. I love that they were not letting her. They would just be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna dunk on you," and that's it. Like something about that, it tickles me. I think that's dope. Because like when Eric was playing her, he was like, "I don't get like." He was like low key, like, "All right, let me just scoot over you and just like hit this shot." He did not care, and I enjoyed that so much because that's such a black relationship.
It should be that way because I'm like, don't be soft on me because I'm a girl.
Right. I just love that all the black contestants of past on this season was just like, I'm gonna dunk on you and you're just gonna deal. Like I just enjoy that. But anyway, if you're not picking the Eric or Peter, what are you doing? Brian gotta go. Bye, Dean. And so pretty much that's it. This is another episode. We have 3 episodes left. We have the second hometown date, Men Tell All, and then the final rose ceremony. We are almost done with this awful show, and I am happy.
We've never done it that way this season. So, like, usually we get to the final 3, then we have the Men Tell All, and then we have the final finale night where it's like 7 million hours of, the last episode of her choosing, and then that's when they meet Rachel's family. So this is different. This is a switch up.
Okay. So all right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Elan, where can they find you on the social medias?
On the social medias, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lonnie Martice. It is LONIMARTICE. So hit me up if you have any questions. I'm pretty boring. I'm pretty open and chill, but I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I got to be a part of this episode. Thank you for having me, Joy.
Oh, of course, you're you're one of my real life faves.
Yes.
And I'm just telling you, if you follow Elan on Instagram, she has a great, beautiful fro and flawless skin. Gentlemen, slide in her DMs too. Just gonna throw that out there.
I'm single, so I mean, listen, I'm not trying to get married. Don't be creepy. Respect black women.
Yes, listen, we are trying to. If we can find love, reviewing this stressful ass show, let's work on this.
That's it. Don't be a fucking weirdo, okay?
Right, and y'all have been hearing my voice for all these episodes. I'm Joy. I like long walks on the beach. I'm joking. I also respect black women. Don't be a creep. Don't be misogynistic. Don't be sexist. I'll probably be smarter than you, make more money than you, and you're gonna have to deal. Which is funny. We have to talk offline about some good news in my life.
Okay.
I am on Twitter on Jump for Joy, JUMPEDFORJOI. And you guys obviously should follow the Blacklorette on Twitter, because if you aren't, what are you doing with your life? That is BLACKELORETTE. We live tweet every episode. We are editing the prior episode of the final 6, and we are going to be editing this week. Probably won't be coming out until the next week and a half, 2 weeks, because Jack is at San Diego Comic-Con. So good luck to Jack. If you want to follow Jack, she is on Twitter at that Jacqueline. And I am pulling up how to spell that because I can't on the top of my head. I'm sorry, Jack. I love you.
We're not prepared.
Yes, it's that Jacqueline. That's THATJACQUELINE. And she's out here again being a boss ass bitch at San Diego Comic-Con. All right, guys. Till next time when we review second part of the hometown dates, Men Tell All, and then this short series is over, and you're gonna miss us, but this is a good old time. So until next time, bye, guys.
Bye.
That was a HeadGum podcast.